A 40-ton humpback whale suddenly changes direction. It is migrating through the ocean. Following a route its species has traveled for millions of years. Then something unexpected happens. Nearby, a group of killer whales is attacking a seal. The seal is not related to the whale. It is not part of the whale's social group. The whale gains nothing by intervening. In fact, approaching a pod of killer whales could be dangerous. Yet the whale moves directly into the conflict. Researchers watched as it placed its enormous body between the attackers and their victim, repeatedly pushing the killer whales away. The seal eventually escaped. Most people assume evolution is simple. Survive, reproduce, pass on your genes. By that logic, risking your life for an unrelated animal should make no sense at all. And yet scientists have documented countless cases of animals protecting complete strangers. Dolphins rescuing humans, elephants helping injured antelope, monkeys adopting unrelated infants, whales defending seals. The question is not whether these events happen. They do. The deeper mystery is why. Because the more scientists investigate these behaviors, the harder they become to explain. And what they reveal may change how we think about intelligence, evolution, and even ourselves. Expanding the mystery for decades, biologists believed they already understood altruism. The explanation seems straightforward. Animals help relatives because relatives carry many of the same genes. Protecting a sibling or offspring increases the chances that shared genes survive into the next generation. This concept became known as kin selection. It explained a huge amount of animal behavior. Worker bees sacrifice themselves for the hive. Meerkats stand guard while others feed. Many animals risk danger to protect their young. The logic is clear. Helping family can indirectly help your own genes survive. But then researchers started documenting something strange. Animals were helping individuals that were not related to them. Sometimes they even helped members of entirely different species. That should not happen. At least not according to the simplest interpretation of evolutionary theory. And yet the evidence kept accumulating. Again and again, across different environments, across different branches of the animal kingdom. The explanation should have ended there. It didn't, because some of the most puzzling examples were only beginning to emerge. Scientific evidence only of the most famous cases comes from humpback whales. Marine biologists have repeatedly observed humpbacks interrupting killer whale attacks. In some cases, the victims were other whales. That made sense. But in many others, they were seals, sea lions, and even fish. Animals with no obvious connection to humpback whales. Researchers studying these incidents noticed a remarkable pattern. The humpbacks often appear to respond specifically to distress signals. When they heard the sounds of an attack, they approached, sometimes from considerable distances. Once there, they used their massive bodies to interfere with the predators. What scientists discovered was surprising. The behavior seemed consistent to be accidental. But that's not the strange part. The whales were not merely curious observers. They were active participants. They were placing themselves between danger and another animal, even when that animal belonged to a completely different species. The science becomes harder to explain because similar behaviors appear elsewhere. Dolphins have repeatedly been observed protecting injured individuals. Not only other dolphins, humans as well. There are documented reports of dolphins surrounding swimmers while sharks were nearby. Scientists remain cautious about assigning motives. Animals cannot tell us what they are thinking, but the behavior itself is real. And then something unexpected happened. Researchers began finding evidence that some animals may possess capacities once believed to be uniquely human. The rise of empathy. For much of scientific history, empathy was considered a human trait. Animals were thought to operate mainly through instinct, but experiments started challenging that assumption. In one famous study, laboratory rats were placed in situations where another rat was trapped inside a restraining device. The free rat could continue exploring the environment, but it received no obvious reward for helping. Yet many rats learned how to release the trapped individual. They repeatedly chose to do so. Even more surprising, some rats shared food with trapped companions. The findings suggested something important. The animals appeared sensitive to another individual's distress. Researchers began exploring whether basic forms of empathy might exist far deeper in the evolutionary tree than previously believed. If true, this changes everything, because empathy offers a possible explanation for helping behavior. An animal that can emotionally respond to another creature's suffering may be motivated to intervene, not because it has calculated genetic benefits, not because it expects a reward, but because another individual's distress triggers a response within its own nervous system. However, this explanation creates a bigger mystery. Why would evolution produce such a system in the first place? A bigger mystery at first glance. Empathy seems costly. Feeling another creature's suffering can distract from your own survival. It can encourage risk-taking. It can lead to dangerous interventions. So why would natural selection preserve it? The answer may lie in social living. Many species survive through cooperation. Individuals that respond to the needs of others help maintain stronger groups. Over time, evolution may favor brains capable of recognizing and reacting to the emotional states of companions. This makes sense within families. It also makes sense within social groups. But researchers suspect something else may be happening. Empathy may not be perfectly selective. A brain that evolved to respond to distress within its own group may occasionally respond to distress outside the group as well. In other words, the mechanism might not always distinguish between one of us and one of them. The result is a fascinating side effect. An animal hears distress. It reacts. The evolutionary machinery activates. And sometimes the beneficiary belongs to another species entirely. But even this explanation may not account for every case, because certain examples appear even stranger. When intelligence changes, the rulus elephants provide some of the most remarkable examples. Researchers have observed elephants helping injured individuals, waiting for weaker companions, and even attempting to lift animals that were struggling. These behaviors suggest sophisticated social awareness. Elephants possess large, highly developed brains. They recognize themselves in mirrors. They remember individuals for years. They maintain complex social relationships. What researchers found was that advanced cognition often correlates with more flexible helping behavior. The more an animal can understand another individual's situation, the more opportunities exist for intervention. And elephants are not alone. Great apes show evidence of consolation behavior. Dolphins display cooperation that requires remarkable coordination. Certain birds demonstrate problem-solving abilities once thought impossible outside mammals. The traditional boundary between human and animal intelligence has steadily eroded. That's when the mystery deepened, because the question is no longer whether animals can help strangers. The question is how often they might be capable of doing so. The deeper implication: most people imagine evolution as a ruthless competition, a constant struggle where only self-interest matters. Competition is certainly real. Nature can be extraordinarily brutal. Predators hunt. Resources are limited. Survival is never guaranteed. Yet cooperation is equally fundamental. Life did not become complex through competition alone. From insect colonies to human civilizations, cooperation has shaped the history of living things. The existence of helping behavior reminds us that evolution is not merely a story of conflict. It is also a story of connection. Brains evolved to navigate social worlds. And once those systems became sufficiently sophisticated, something remarkable emerged: the ability to recognize another creature's distress, the ability to respond, and sometimes the willingness to help, even when there appears to be nothing to gain. The deeper question is whether these acts represent true compassion or simply the byproducts of evolutionary mechanisms. Scientists continue debating the answer. Perhaps the distinction is not as clear as we imagine, because every human act of kindness also emerges from a brain shaped by evolution. The same process that shaped whales, dolphins, elephants, and countless other species. Powerful ending somewhere in the ocean right now. A whale may once again be interrupting an attack it has no obligation to stop. Somewhere in a forest, an elephant may be helping an injured companion rise to its feet. Somewhere in a laboratory, a rat may be freeing another from confinement. None of these animals understand evolutionary theory. None of them know they are participating in one of biology's most fascinating mysteries. Yet their actions force us to confront a surprising possibility. Perhaps survival alone has never been the entire story of life. Perhaps the same evolutionary forces that created competition also created the foundations of empathy. And if that is true, then acts of compassion are not separate from nature. They are part of it. A reminder that even in a world shaped by survival, living creatures sometimes choose to respond to another's suffering, and that may be one of evolution's most extraordinary outcomes. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, subscribe for more. See you in the next one.